Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty special, a story about American precision, history, and, well, a really interesting design that made waves in an industry.
That's right.
We're focusing on the RGM Model 222RR, specifically that Ferguson Railroad dial.
A truly iconic piece.
And our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack how this watch is, a genuine slice of American railroad history.
Hmm.
From that unique dial we mentioned right through to the restored vintage movement inside. We've dug into some sources, found some surprising things.
And we've compiled quite a bit for you, yeah.
Yeah.
Historical accounts, detailed product info, all sorts of things to really get under the skin of this watch.
Especially that Ferguson dial.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with RGM itself. You look at American watchmaking, and RGM seems like, well, kind of an anomaly, right?
They really are unique, yeah.
What makes them stand out so much, especially compared to, say, the big Swiss names?
Well, the main thing is that RGM is, as far as we know, the only vertically integrated watch manufacturer in the United States today.
The only one.
The only one, which means they're making their own components, their own movements,
Yeah.
even those incredible guilloche dials.
Right, those intricate patterns.
Exactly. All done in-house. It's a serious commitment to craft.
Founded back in '92.
Yes, by Roland G. Murphy, a master watchmaker down in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. And he has this deep passion for early 20th century American watchmaking.
You can really see that in their railroad watches.
Absolutely. It shines through.
And that brings us straight to the Model 222RR, and crucially, that Ferguson Railroad dial. Why is this dial so important historically? What's the story?
Well, it goes back to a guy named Louis Book Ferguson. He patented this dial design way back in 1908.
Okay.
And the key thing is he designed it specifically for the railroad industry. It was sold directly to them.
So it wasn't just about looks, it was a tool.
Precisely. A tool built for legibility and precision under demanding conditions.
Okay, let's unpack this for someone listening. If you look at the dial, what hits you first?
The first thing you notice is probably the dominant minutes track. It's big, bold numerals for the 5-minute marks right on the edge.
Very clear.
But then the really unique part is the inner ring. That's where you find the hour numerals, but they're smaller and they're red.
Red hours, okay. And there's a sub-dial too.
Yep, a subsidiary seconds counter down at 6 o'clock. And because of this layout, Ferguson also designed special hands.
Ah, tell me about those.
You get a shorter hand in red for the hours, pointing to those inner red numerals,
Makes sense.
and then a longer, usually blued hand for the minutes, reaching out to that main track. Maximum clarity was the goal.
And the originals, they were made by the O'Hara Dial Company up in Massachusetts.
That's the history, yes. O'Hara made those original Ferguson dials.
So fast forward to today, how does RGM recreate this? Are they going for, like, perfect historical accuracy?
They're aiming very high, using grand few enamel for the dial, which is, a really demanding traditional technique.
That's the one with the high temperature firing, right?
Exactly. They actually entrust it to a master craftsman over in Switzerland. It involves multiple firings, each one risky.
Wow.
But the result is this incredibly glossy, deep white dial that, crucially, will never fade.
And the numerals?
They use a vintage-style font for those big, black, Arabic, minute numerals. And that classic blued Ferguson minutes hand, very slim at the tip for precision.
It sounds like they're capturing every detail.
They even replicate the Kirks. Like, because of the small second subdial at 6, the red hour numeral 6 has to be pushed up a bit.
Oh, right.
So it actually cuts into the black 30-minute marker slightly. It's
Yeah.
that level of detail.
Okay, so the dial is amazing, but then I noticed something else. This is where it gets really interesting for me. The crown. It's not at 3 o'clock.
Nope. It's at 1:30.
At 1:30. And the whole dial is sort of tilted to line up with it? What's that about?
That is a fantastic detail, and it's a direct nod to history, a homage to early 20th century railroad watches.
How so?
Well, many of those early watches used pocket watch movements that were converted for wrist use. And based on how those movements were built, putting the crown up there around 1:30 or 2 o'clock was actually practical.
Practical how?
It oriented the dial so you could read it more easily straight on if you were, say, holding the controls of a train or even flying a plane.
Right, you wouldn't have to twist your wrist as much.
Exactly. You see a similar idea in pilots' watches sometimes, like the Longines Avigation Type A7 from 1935. Same kind of angled dial thinking.
Fascinating. So it looks unusual, but it had a real purpose.
Function dictating form.
So besides the dial and crown, what about the rest of the case? Does it follow that vintage railroad vibe?
Oh, absolutely. The case is stainless steel, solid. It's got a good size, 41 millimeter diameter.
Modern size, but vintage feel.
Yeah, and the lugs are quite elongated. Plus, it has this large fluted crown, very much like those old converted pocket watches.
Feels substantial, I imagine.
It does. But they've updated it, of course. You get sapphire crystals on the front and the back.
Oh, an exhibition back? Nice.
Yeah, so you can see the movement. And it's got 50 meters of water resistance, so it's practical for everyday wear, too.
Okay, let's talk about that movement you see through the back. Now, RGM makes its own movements, right? Even complex ones like tourbillon.
They do indeed. World-class stuff.
So why use a vintage Hamilton pocket watch movement in this particular watch? Seems like a very deliberate choice.
It's absolutely deliberate, and it goes right back to that commitment to historical relevance we talked about.
Tying it to Hamilton.
Exactly. Hamilton, founded 1892, was the American name in precision railroad pocket watches for decades, using one of their movements. Well, it connects this watch directly to that legacy.
Even though Hamilton itself moved to Switzerland later on.
Right, in 2003. So grabbing these historical American-made Hamilton movements and restoring them, it injects genuine, tangible history into the 222RR.
So RGM finds these old movements. What do they do then? Just clean them up?
Oh, no, it's much more than that. It's a full rebuild, a horological resurrection, as you put it earlier. They take these 10-size movements, a good, robust size from that era, find parts in the best possible condition, replace things like the mainspring for reliability.
So you get a decent power reserve?
Yeah, they aim for between 42 and 45 hours, which is solid. And the finishing is incredible.
Visible through the case back, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flat, hand-polished steel parts, beautifully beveled bridges, circular stripes. They often finish them to a standard that's actually better than the original factory finish.
Wow.
And crucially, one single watchmaker handles the entire assembly and adjustment for each watch. That's real high-end practice.
That's serious dedication. Now, I read there are different grades of these Hamilton movements they use.
That's right. There are two main ones for this model. There's the Hamilton 921 movement.
Okay.
It has 21 jewels, a very good movement, made in fairly large quantities back in the day, so it's more available.
And the other?
The other is the Hamilton 923. This one's rarer, 23 jewels. Historically, fewer than 4,000 of these were ever made.
Less than 4,000. That is rare.
It really is. So that raises, an interesting point about collecting. Value, rarity, historical connection.
Does that rarity make it hard for RGM to source the 923s? Or is it just part of the appeal for buyers?
It definitely adds to the appeal and mystique for collectors who want that extra layer of exclusivity. I wouldn't say it's a dilemma for RGM, more like a curated choice they offer.
Letting the buyer decide how deep they want to go on the rarity scale.
Precisely.
And wrapping up the whole look, it comes on a leather strap.
Yes, a nice thick brown leather strap, usually with contrasting beige stitching, completes that vintage tool watch feel.
So putting it all together, the craftsmanship, the history, the restored movement, what kind of price point are we talking about?
Well, the retail prices reflect the work involved. For the models with the more common 921 movement, it's listed at USD $8,950.
Okay.
And for the ones with that rarer 923 movement, it's USD $9,950.
Right. Now, here's something really interesting I picked up on. Being an American brand actually gives RGM a bit of a market advantage, doesn't it? Especially regarding price compared to imports.
That's a very sharp point. And yes, absolutely. It's something collectors do notice.
How does that work?
Because RGM watches are made in the U.S., they aren't subject to the significant import taxes levied on Swiss watches coming into the States. I believe it's around 39%.
39%? That's huge.
It is. So that allows RGM to offer this level of in-house work and historical restoration at a price that's very competitive, even against established Swiss brands.
So it's not just a made in USA tag, it has real financial implications.
Definitely. It subtly challenges that idea that high-end watchmaking has to come from Europe and makes it a really compelling option for people who value American craft and heritage.
It really underlines the whole point, doesn't it? The Model 222RR really is this wonderful, wearable piece of American railroad history.
Couldn't agree more.
So just to pull everything together from our deep dive today, we've seen RGM's really unique place as America's only vertically integrated watchmaker. Amazing stuff.
Testament to craftsmanship.
Yeah. We've dug into the genius of Louis Buck Ferguson's dial design, functional, historical, just brilliant.
Truly purpose-built.
We've looked at those clever design nods, like that 1.30 crown, tying it directly to its past.
Smart homages.
And of course, celebrated that deep historical link through the beautifully restored vintage Hamilton movement. bringing history back to life.
It's just a fantastic blend, isn't it? The meticulous modern skill honoring this vital piece of American industrial and watchmaking heritage.
It's more than just a watch.
Definitely. It's a story meticulously preserved, retold for today. A story you can wear.
So here's a final thought for you listening. In this age where tech changes so fast, think about how companies like RGM are finding these really unique ways to keep historical innovations relevant, to preserve them.
Fascinating.
What other forgotten designs or technologies, maybe overlooked, are just waiting out there for someone dedicated enough to revive them? What was the aha moment for you during this deep dive?